With 3 games remaining in the regular season, the Dallas Cowboys are staring at the real possibility of missing the playoffs for a second consecutive year. For a franchise built on championship expectations, that reality carries consequences. Fair or not, much of the frustration surrounding the Cowboys season has centered on a defense that has consistently failed to meet league standards. As losses mount, attention has increasingly shifted toward defensive coordinator Matt Eberflus. Dallas entered the season hoping stability would finally take hold after multiple coordinator changes in recent years. Instead, the unit has regressed in nearly every measurable category. As Week 16 approaches, questions about accountability and future direction are no longer hypothetical. They are becoming unavoidable. Inside the organization, evaluation mode has quietly intensified, even as public messaging remains cautious. History suggests that when defensive performance collapses to this level in Dallas, change often follows. Statistically, the Cowboys' defense ranks among the worst units in the NFL. Through 14 games, Dallas sits 31st in points allowed, surrendering an average of 30 points per game. They are also 29th in total yards allowed, giving up 374.9 yards per contest, and dead last in passing yards allowed at 254.8 per game. The only area showing marginal improvement is run defense, which allows 120.1 yards per game. Even that figure places the Cowboys just 18th league-wide. These numbers reflect a defense that struggles to dictate tempo, generate pressure consistently, or close out drives. Opposing offenses have routinely found rhythm against Dallas, often producing their best performances of the season. For a team built to compete deep into January, such deficiencies are glaring. Eberflus has acknowledged the scrutiny that comes with the position, offering no excuses as the Cowboys enter the final stretch of the season. "This is the NFL," Eberflus said. "Everybody's being evaluated throughout the whole league, in every organization. That's part of the job." As the Cowboys, 6-7-1, prepare for Sunday's matchup against the Los Angeles Chargers, Eberflus will make a notable adjustment. For the first time this season, he will move from the sideline to the coach's booth, a decision discussed internally for several weeks. Eberflus described the change as an opportunity to gain a broader perspective on game flow and defensive communication. Whether the move signals urgency or experimentation, it underscores a coordinator searching for answers. The coaching booth adjustment comes amid growing organizational tension regarding defensive continuity. Cowboys owner and general manager Jerry Jones has repeatedly voiced concern over the lack of stability at defensive coordinator. Since 2022, Dallas has cycled through Dan Quinn, Mike Zimmer, and now Eberflus. 3 coordinators in 3 years has prevented a consistent defensive identity from forming. Until recently, Jones emphasized patience, framing the turnover as disruptive to player development. Over the past week, however, his tone has shifted noticeably. Speaking on 105.3 The Fan, Jones suggested the final 3 games of the season should be a big criteria in determining Eberflus' future. That comment alone signaled that nothing is guaranteed beyond Week 18. Jones also pointed to a troubling pattern that has followed the Cowboys all season. Opposing quarterbacks often deliver their best performances against Dallas. "Seems like we're always saying that about these quarterbacks," Jones said. "When they play us, they play better." The implication is clear. Defensive preparation, execution, or scheme may be enabling struggling offenses rather than exposing them. Jones went further, admitting that improved defensive performance earlier in the season could have dramatically altered the Cowboys' position in the standings. "I think if we could have gotten this defense in better shape earlier," he said, "we could be sitting here with the kinds of wins that would have not had us in this tight spot." That admission places responsibility not only on the coaching staff, but also on organizational decisions made months ago. One of those decisions involved the delayed trade of the team's best defensive player, Micah Parsons. The move came just 1 week before the regular season opener against the Philadelphia Eagles. The timing of the trade shocked many around the league, given that a significant portion of the defensive scheme had been built around Parsons. Although Parsons did not practice during training camp, his presence was expected to anchor the pass rush. At the time, the Cowboys insisted that pressure lost individually could be replaced through schemed pressure. That approach, however, has never been a defining trait of Eberflus' system. According to ESPN research, Dallas blitzes on 28% of dropbacks, barely above the league average. The contrast with other defensive systems has been stark. The Minnesota Vikings, Dallas opponent last week, blitz on 46% of opponent dropbacks, the highest rate in the NFL. In recent losses to the Detroit Lions and Vikings, the Cowboys showed inconsistency in pressure packages. Eberflus blitzed 9 times on 16 first-quarter dropbacks, but only 7 times across the remaining 48 dropbacks. That drop-off allowed quarterbacks to settle in and exploit coverage mismatches. The results were predictable: sustained drives, explosive plays, and limited defensive disruption. Dallas' pass rush, once a strength, has largely disappeared. Under Mike Zimmer last season, the Cowboys recorded 52 sacks. This year, they have managed just 29. Defensive end James Houston leads the team with 5.5 sacks, despite joining the roster at the start of training camp. Takeaways have also declined sharply. After generating 22 last season, Dallas has forced just 11 in 2025. Those numbers fall well below what the Cowboys achieved during Dan Quinn's tenure. It's frustrating, Eberflus admitted. We preach it, we practice it, and you never know when it's going to spring open. For a coordinator fighting perception, frustration alone offers little insulation. The quarterback performances against Dallas further illustrate the defensive struggles. In Week 2, Russell Wilson threw for 450 yards and 3 touchdowns against the Cowboys. He was benched just 1 game later. Justin Fields posted a season-high 282 yards and 2 touchdowns versus Dallas, then failed to exceed 1 passing touchdown in any subsequent game before being benched. Jacoby Brissett averaged a season-high 8.4 yards per attempt against the Cowboys and avoided interceptions in one of only 3 such games all year. Most recently, J.J. McCarthy recorded a season-high 250 yards, averaging 10.4 yards per attempt. None of those numbers were replicated against other opponents. History provides a sobering backdrop for Eberflus' situation. Since Jerry Jones took over in 1989, the Cowboys have allowed 400 or more points in 6 seasons. In every instance, the following year featured either a coordinator change or a schematic overhaul. Dallas has already surrendered 420 points this season. It's pretty simple, Eberflus said. You focus on your job and where your feet are. For now, that job remains intact. But with 3 games left and history looming, the margin for error has vanished. Whether 2026 brings continuity or yet another reset may depend entirely on what happens next. Beyond scheme and statistics, the final 3 games will serve as a referendum on whether the Cowboys' defense can show meaningful progress under pressure. Even modest improvement, better communication, situational stops, or signs of identity could influence internal evaluations. However, continued struggles would only reinforce a familiar pattern in Dallas, where defensive failures often lead to off-season upheaval. With history, numbers, and ownership comments all pointing in the same direction, Matt Eberflus enters the season's final weeks not just coaching for wins, but potentially coaching for his job.